It's the night before the signing of a high-profile trade agreement between Costa Verde and the USA, which is spearheaded by Mr. Diaz. As the news broadcast a press conference held by the officials, Yuki plants some evidence in a hotel room before assassinating Mr. Diaz with a well-placed sniper shot to the head as he gives a speech on stage. The aftermath can be seen on a phone she's using to watch a live stream of the conference. With the hit complete, she leaves the room like a ghost. Soon after the incident, Agent Franklin from the FBI receives strict orders from the Secretary of State to covertly sort out this mess. Juliet comes at the perfect time with information that a strand of hair belonging to Sergeant Brandon was at the scene, and flight records show that he flew in and out of Costa Verde within hours of the attack. With such evidence, Franklin officially makes him the prime suspect and orders a team to go to his house, but it has to be low-key because he's part of the USA Army. If word was to get out that he committed the crime, it would be an international problem. They are to find out as much information about the situation and create a safe house near his location. When the target has been apprehended, it should be assumed that he's armed and dangerous. However, this is far from reality because Brandon sits at home playing Halo multiplayer and he's getting beaten by a 14-year-old kid. Unbeknownst to him, Yuki pulls up on a bike with a gun, a bottle of pills, and a note. Unfortunately for her, the government breach Brandon's house before her and take him aggressively into custody. She calls her employer to alert him of the situation, but he's not happy because she was to make his death look like a self-annihilation. He alerts Yuki that a team will be sent to take out the convoy, so her job is to make it look like she's an accomplice to Brandon. Meanwhile, he's sent to the safe house where he's interrogated by Franklin. Brandon tries to explain that he's been set up, but the evidence is just too much. They have his DNA at the scene, his flight records, and a motive. It is revealed that his father is a retired serviceman, but he had a mission at Costa Verde that went wrong in the past, so they want to know if he was involved in his little revenge operation. They even have emails that point to this motive. Brandon is dumbfounded by these accusations but sticks to his belief that he was set up. He explains that he was enjoying his first leave in 5 years. The guy didn't even know an assassination took place. They are interrupted when Agent Zero from Homeland Security arrives and requests to have a private word with Brandon. They feel like he must be given the benefit of the doubt given his admirable service record. Franklin is reluctant, but gives him a minute alone with him. Zero believes in innocent till proven guilty, so he promises to look at this case. He warns him that he will be moved to a black site, and whoever is responsible will probably want to tie up loose ends, so they'll likely attack the convoy. Before Zero leaves, he has a little briefing with Juliet. The FBI believes that only someone with Brandon's skill set could perform a shot from that far distance. He agrees, but he points out the presence of Donald, the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, on stage, which is very odd as it was a political event. During that interval, some Russian mercenaries get a call from the bad guy, but the Russians want the money first before they move an inch. The leader struggles to hear the mastermind as there is a helicopter in the background, but they eventually come to an agreement. The mercenaries get armed and depart just as Brandon is being moved to the black site. Yuki positions herself at the interception location and is under orders to just make sure that the Russians do their job. She's only to intervene as a last resort. As the convoy proceeds, Brandon sees the truck tailing them from behind and tries to alert the transport team, but they dismiss him. Shortly after, they are cut off from the front by another truck and are rammed by the truck from behind when they try to escape. The mercenaries open fire at the car and a gunfight ensues. They kill most of the transport team as Brandon pleads for them to release him so that he can help. As the Russians close in on the car, Brandon manages to grab the keys from the fallen soldier and frees himself. He grabs 2 pistols and shoots the men that try to surround him. Meanwhile, Yuki kills one of the soldiers who has flanked a mercenary. She then tries to kill Brandon, but he manages to stay hidden and uses unconventional means to get the car out to safety. The assassin gets annoyed and shoots the last Russian standing. That evening, Zero interrupts Donald, who is out on a date with his mistress. After introducing himself officially, he learns that the assassination of Diaz hurt the company as their stock prices plummeted. He advises the agent to follow the money as he tries to pin it on a rival company who have more to gain with Diaz's death. At the safe house, Franklin receives word of the attack on the convoy and the Russian mod's involvement. The boss jumps to conclusions again, claiming that Brandon must be working with them. When he's told that one of their men was killed by a sniper, he dives to a conclusion again, pinning it on Brandon's father. The guy is sure he's right, so he tells the team to turn their attention to the father. Juliet receives a report that the transport vehicle was spotted in Aberdeen with their men dead inside. Franklin orders that they gain access to all cameras in that area to try and find him. Meanwhile, Brandon is stopped by local law enforcement. When they catch him trying to break into a car, he swiftly takes them out before asking a nearby witness to drive him out of the city. In the interim, Zero calls Juliet after his encounter with Donald. She updates him on the situation, and he alerts her that the reason why Brandon hasn't brought himself in is that there might be a rat in the department. She gives him a lead that the previous month, an employee at the accounting department tripped an alarm at Donald's company when he tried to access information that was above his clearance level. The police were turned away by the head of security when they received the alarm. Juliet gets berated by her boss when she returns from her toilet break, as things are tight at the moment. Meanwhile, just outside the city, Brandon asks the witness to get out of the car and walk back to the city. He promises to take good care of his car before driving off. In the interim, Zero makes the trip to the pharmaceutical company, where he meets the head of security named Phoenix. He tries to ask him about the incident the previous month, but he explains it away and alerts him that Strayhorn, the accountant in question, is off work sick. Back at the safe house, they receive the report of the carjacking, but by this time, Brandon has ditched the car and is taking cargo transport to his next location. Juliet receives another call from Zero, who updates her on his visit to the company and asks her to look into Phoenix, as he didn't trust the guy at all. Before he can finish his next sentence, she already has information, and it looks like he's a ghost, as there is no recent information about him. As she talks on the phone, Franklin sneaks up on her and scolds her for wasting time working with Zero when she's supposed to be looking into his orders. He warns her that the next time the agent calls, she should forward the call to him. Juliet sends him a message alerting Zero that one of the Russian mercenaries survived when they attacked the convoy, and he's at the hospital. Zero makes his way over there and forces the doctors to wake him up before aggressively interrogating the mercenary about who hired him to perform the hit. As he screams in pain, he informs him about the helicopter in the background when they were talking. The agent joins Franklin at Brandon's house as they look for evidence. He finds a picture of Brandon which confirms that Phoenix was a part of his unit at some point in the past. He sends this to Juliet. She does a face image search, and it concludes that his real name is Clark. He was wanted for war crimes when he served in the army but died in a battle before they could apprehend him. This revelation makes things a lot more interesting. Zero later tracks down Strayhorn at a parking lot and intimidates him till he confesses to everything. He was forced to help them skim money from the falling stock prices due to the trade agreement not going through, which would enrich Phoenix. The night that the alarm was triggered, he was setting up the offshore account where the illegal money would get dumped. Meanwhile, Brandon gets to his father's place deep inside the woods. The dad sees that he's in trouble just by looking at him. They sit and have a couple of beers as they trade war stories and discuss the situation. The following day, his dad tries to apologize for not always being there physically, but his son doesn't hold a grudge because he knew his father was serving his country. They make their way back inside the cabin when the alarm and secret cameras pick up the soldiers closing in on their location. His dad gives him a sniper rifle and instructs Brandon to take the hidden passage and escape. As the unit close in on the cabin, Zero calls Franklin to alert him about Strayhorn's confession. Simultaneously, the father comes out of his place unarmed. With this new information, Franklin orders his men to stand down. As they stand down, a sniper suddenly starts to take out members of the unit. The dad rushes back into his cabin. Franklin jumps to conclusions again and alerts Zero that Brandon just shot and killed 2 of their men. The veteran sniper finds cover and watches as the unit gets picked apart. Brandon hears the gunshots, so he decides to investigate. He and his dad look around the forest for the shooter, who happens to be Yuki. She sees that both of them are looking for her, so she decides to shoot the hand of one of the soldiers, which triggers his gun to fire, giving her a chance to move to a better location. Brandon regroups with his dad before they start their hunt. As they search, Yuki gets in position to take out Brandon, but his father intercepts by shooting her gun. She drops it and tries to escape, but Brandon gets to her, and a brawl ensues between the two. He gets humbled a bit, but he's saved when his dad holds Yuki at gunpoint, putting an end to the fight, allowing the duo to apprehend her. All the while, Zero infiltrates Phoenix's house, and after some snooping around, he finds the fake passport the security had used to impersonate Brandon, proving that it was him that took the trip to Costa Verde. He also finds a lot of ferry tickets in the bin, so makes his way to the dock to further investigate. The operator services all the islands in the area, but Zero uses the information of a helicopter to narrow it down to 1. He tips the operator to send him there. During that interval, Brandon uses the equipments of the fallen soldiers to get in contact with Franklin and presents Yuki as the culprit who killed their men. He's convinced that she's the one that set him up for Diaz's assassination too. Franklin alerts him that a unit is on the way, so they should hold on tight. Juliet does her thing and finds out that Yuki comes from a criminal family that has had multiple dealings with the Yakuza. She also goes by the nickname Lady of Death. The unit arrives and transports everyone back to the safe house. Brandon is officially acquitted when it is confirmed that Yuki flew in and out of Costa Verde on the day of the attack. He's released, so he and his dad join the team to get to the bottom of this. Brandon comes up with an idea to use himself as bait to get Phoenix's location by pretending that Yuki captured him. She only agrees because the crimes she committed in the USA will be dropped. Brandon also reveals his history with Phoenix. Brandon was the one who reported him for his war crimes, so Phoenix framed him because he wanted revenge. After a quick call, Phoenix drops the meeting location. When he finishes, he spots Zero snooping around and attacks him. After a brief exchange, he quickly subdues the agent, and Donald comes out revealing himself to be the financer of his little operation. He asks Phoenix to apprehend the agent and send him inside. The CEO tries to bribe him to look the other way, but Zero is not moved by money. Donald explains that with the company going down, he had to find means to ensure his golden parachute. Diaz, who was a corrupt politician, was therefore a reasonable sacrifice. They are interrupted when Yuki knocks on the door with her hostage, but she makes a comment about Phoenix and Brandon's past, which gets him on alert because he never told her that information. He asks the two to come inside the house, which goes against the plan. Franklin orders the units to start moving. Meanwhile, inside the building, Phoenix shoots Yuki, suspecting something is wrong. Brandon breaks free from the fake cuffs and begins fighting his ex-squadmate, but he gets overpowered and is taken hostage. However, his dad is in the perfect position to take the shot. After he composes himself and overcomes his past regrets, he takes it and cleanly removes Phoenix out of this world and into the next, leaving his son safe. Yuki tries to use the commotion to escape, but she frees Zero and helps capture Donald. With the area secured, Brandon thanks Zero for the help, but he gives Yuki some of the credit for apprehending the CEO. The father and son reunite again and leave together. Later on, Zero has blocked Yuki's extradition to Japan and proposes that she works for the US government. They shake on it, marking the start of their cooperation. That brings the movie to an end.